Hey everyone, welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Today, we're diving into one of the most terrifying yet fascinating parts of the Alien franchise, the Xenomorph Queens. Now, when we think of xenomorphs, we usually picture the classic drones and warriors, the ones that lurk in the shadows waiting to strike. But towering above them in the hierarchy is the Queen. She's not only the mother of the Hive, laying eggs that bring the species forward, but also a strategic commander and brutal fighter when necessary. Over the years, through movies, comics, novels, and games, we've seen many different queens. Some are iconic and unforgettable, like the LV426 Queen that Ellen Ripley squared off against. Others are rare, mutated, or even empresses and mothers that rule over entire colonies and beyond. So in this video, we're going to explore every major xenomorph queen and empress in alien history, from the films you know and love to the deep-cut lore buried in graphic novels and video games. We'll look at how strong they were, how intelligent they were, and whether they managed to survive in the end. Let's get started. The LV426 Queen. We've got to begin with the most famous queen of all time, the one from James Cameron's Aliens. Born from one of the colonists of Hadley's Hope in 2179, this queen set up her nest in the atmosphere processor and completely overran the colony. Her brood of xenomorphs slaughtered and cocooned almost every colonist, and even when the Marines showed up, they didn't stand a chance. What really makes her stand out is her sheer will to survive and protect her children. After Ripley torched her eggs, the Queen chased her with relentless fury and even managed to escape the atmospheric processor explosion. She stowed away on the Sulaco, fought Ripley in one of the most iconic battles in sci-fi cinema, and was ultimately blown out of the airlock. We can assume she burned up an LV-426's atmosphere, but considering how durable xenomorphs are, part of me always wonders if she somehow survived for a few moments longer. Either way, this queen set the template for all the others. The triplet alien queens. Now here's something unusual. In most cases, there's one queen per hive, but in Aliens Resistance and Aliens Rescue, we see something rare. 3 queens living together in harmony. These so-called triplet queens may have been siblings born from the same host, which could explain why they tolerated each other. They shared a massive hive, their egg sacs embedded side by side. Imagine walking into that nightmare. 3 times the eggs, 3 times the xenomorphs, and 3 times the trouble. Of course, the colonial Marines weren't going to let that hive keep growing. Amanda Ripley, yes, the daughter of Ellen Ripley, and Zula Hendricks led a mission that ended with the entire hive being destroyed in a fiery explosion. It's a shame we never saw more of the triplet queens, because the idea of multiple queens cooperating opens up a lot of interesting lore possibilities. The third base queen. Next up, we've got one of the most rebellious queens in the franchise, the third base queen from Aliens Nightmare Asylum. This queen was captured by General Spears, who had the brilliant idea of training xenomorphs as soldiers to retake Earth, which had already fallen to alien infestations. Spoiler alert, it didn't go well. Xenomorphs don't obey humans. That's rule number 1. The Queen eventually turned on Spears, biting his head off in brutal fashion. Spears tried to take her with him using a flamethrower, and both supposedly died. But given how resistant queens are, part of me always wonders if she outlasted him at least for a while longer. Either way, this queen represents the uncontrollable nature of the xenomorphs. You can't tame them, you can't train them, and you certainly can't make them your soldiers. The ancient Antarctica Queen. Now, if you've seen Alien vs. Predator 2004, then you'll remember this one. The Antarctica Queen was an ancient xenomorph queen that the Predators captured thousands of years ago. They locked her in a temple deep under the ice, keeping her frozen until she was needed. Every 100 years, they thawed her out to produce eggs for their ritual hunts. When she was eventually freed, she wreaked havoc, She fought Scar Predator, killed him, and then rampaged on the surface. She was finally dragged into the icy waters, chained down, and sank deep into the freezing depths. Now here's the thing. It's entirely possible she survived. Xenomorphs can endure extreme conditions, and freezing doesn't necessarily kill them. She could still be down there, trapped in the ice, waiting for someone or something to set her free again. The Samara Station Queen. Now here's a fascinating one. The Samara Station Queen from Aliens vs. Predator, Deadliest of the Species was unique because she actually worked alongside humans and predators. She showed an unusual level of intelligence, forming alliances to further her own goals. She even fought alongside Ash Parnell, a human, and Big Mama Predator matriarch against a rogue AI called Toy. But in one of the strangest twists in alien lore, this queen was actually impregnated by a facehugger. That's not something we see often. She died as the chestburster erupted, but she took one of Toy's minions down with her. It's a weird storyline, but it shows just how flexible the alien mythos can be when exploring different scenarios. The Flying Alien Queen. Now, imagine a queen, but with wings. The Flying Alien Queen has appeared in several expanded universe materials. She first showed up in a Kenner action figure with its own little comic. Later, she popped up in the Aliens Armageddon arcade game, where she aggressively attacked even other xenomorphs. Perhaps the most bizarre version comes from the Aliens Vampirella crossover, where a queen chestburster inherited vampire-like traits, including bat wings, after gestating inside Vampirella. Flying queens haven't made it into the films yet, but you can bet if one ever does, it's gonna be absolutely terrifying. The Queen Mother. Now let's talk about the top of the hierarchy. The Queen Mother rules all other queens. She lives on the Xenomorph homeworld and commands lesser queens across multiple hives and even planets. She's so powerful that she can even establish a telepathic link with humans. In the Female War comic, also known as Earth War, the Queen Mother was captured by mercenaries and brought to Earth. The plan was to lure all the xenomorphs to one location and then nuke them. It worked, but it also showed that the Queen Mother, while powerful, wasn't invincible. She's the ultimate authority among xenomorphs, but even she can be manipulated by clever human plans. The Red Queen Mother. When the Queen Mother died, chaos erupted on the xenomorph homeworld. In her absence, a Red Queen Mother rose to power, leading a new breed of red-skinned xenomorphs. This sparked a full-blown civil war between the regular black xenomorphs and the Red faction. The humans eventually intervened, stealing royal jelly and nuking the Red Queen Mother's hive. With her gone, the black xenomorphs reclaimed dominance. Visually, the Red Queen Mother is one of the most distinct queens we've ever seen, and NECA even made a figure of her. She's proof that even among xenomorphs, civil wars and rival factions can happen. The cloned Auriga Queen. Now let's move to Alien Resurrection. This queen was cloned from Ripley 8 in the year 2381. Because Ripley was part xenomorph at that point, the queen inherited some strange traits, like eventually giving birth to the newborn instead of just laying eggs. This queen managed to set up a nest on the Auriga, but things didn't end well. The newborn, seeing Ripley as its real mother, turned on her and slapped her head clean off. She's probably one of the weakest queens in terms of power, but narratively, she was essential in showing the genetic weirdness of cloning. Specimen 6 Queen. In the Aliens vs. Predator 2010 video game, we meet Specimen 6, a single alien warrior on BG-386 who accomplished incredible feats. After a long campaign of survival, Specimen 6 eventually mutated into a new queen when the Hive lacked one. She grew a larger head, extra limbs, and took command of the Hive. Her final fate is unknown, but is heavily implied she survived and continued leading the xenomorphs on the planet. The Cheron Base Queen. In Aliens Rogue, a scientist named Dr. Kleist tried to breed an alien king. He succeeded, but the king was brutish and not particularly intelligent. The queen he bred, however, proved smarter and more tactical. When the two fought, the queen actually won, killing the king. Unfortunately, she didn't live long after her victory, as the Cheron base was destroyed, taking her with it. But she'll always be remembered as the queen who defeated an alien king. The Pathogen Queen. In Aliens Fireteam Elite's Pathogen expansion, we see what happens when the black goo mutagen infects a queen. This Pathogen Queen was pale white, covered in sharp spines, and incredibly aggressive. Unlike regular queens, she was sterile, but her combat skills made up for it. She could launch spines, spit acid, and even climb walls. The Colonial Marines eventually put her down, but she was one of the scariest visual redesigns of a queen to date. The Matriarch. Another aged queen appears in Aliens vs. Predator 2010. This matriarch was ancient, with pale, crusted skin. She had been captured by predators long ago, and later by Weyland-Yutani. Despite her age, she could still lay eggs and command a hive. Eventually, she was freed by a xenomorph and later killed when a colonial marine detonated fuel tanks around her. Specimen 6 then inherited her role. The matriarch shows us that queens can live incredibly long lives, though age eventually takes its toll.
Survival.
The Empress. And finally, we end with the Empress, one of the rarest and most powerful queens. Appearing in Aliens vs. Predator 2, the Empress ruled over the entire planet LV426, commanding multiple hives at once. She was ancient, massive, and far stronger than a normal queen. Weyland-Yutani captured her, but she was eventually freed by a xenomorph and took revenge on Dr. Eisenberg by tearing off his limbs and cocooning him alive. Unlike most queens, the Empress actually survived, continuing her reign on LV426. Our nerdy thoughts. So, there you have it. Every major Xenomorph Queen and Empress in the Alien franchise. From the iconic LV426 Queen to the rare Empress and the terrifying Queen Mother, each one shows a different side of how the Xenomorph species adapts, survives, and dominates. The hierarchy is clear. Regular queens rule individual hives, empresses oversee multiple hives, and at the very top, the Queen Mother reigns supreme. But as we've seen with the Red Queen Mother and others, even Xenomorph royalty isn't safe from betrayal, mutation, or human interference. What's your favorite queen? Do you stick with the classic LV426 Queen from Aliens, or are you fascinated by some of the more bizarre ones like the Flying Queen or the Pathogen Queen? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Xenomorph royalty, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next breakdown of alien lore. Until then, stay safe, and remember, in space, no one can hear you scream.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.